Good morning, everyone. This is Srikant Rajan. Welcome back to the Stock Market Podcast from MPIinvest.com, the only community where you get guided assistance to invest in stock market, bonds, mutual funds, fixed deposits, and all kinds of insurance. Well, we had some trouble with the audio, and thanks to Pro Parvat for telling me at the time, and we could restart this. So now, coming to the market yesterday, we could see a big fall in the Nifty yesterday, isn't it? The Nifty actually opened gap up close to 18,300, but that could not sustain. And we could see continuous selling till the end of the day. In fact, by end of the day, we could see some rise, but then that rise also was sold into. So who were the culprits yesterday? So most important thing, the FIIs are not the culprit this time. The FIIs have continued to buy. They bought for about 300 crores yesterday, but then, of course, the quantity of buying has actually reduced compared to what was happening. Definitely, there are some reasons we can talk about it a little later, but then, of course, the villains were none other than the DIAs who continue to book profits at this level. So that is something actually that led the market to a fall, and we could see the Nifty closing close to 18,150. Now, what happened in the market? If you look at the top gainers yesterday, it was the FMCG sector, especially ITC. ITC was on the lead, and it was again hitting an all-time high. So that was an amazing scene to see. So I'm sure all those members who are holding ITC must be really happy with the kind of rally that ITC has been witnessing for all these months right now. The patience of holding for so long has definitely paid off, I would say. Apart from that, we could look at the top losers. It was none other than Hindalco. The metal sector was very weak. We could see big profit booking there, and majorly because of the concerns over recession and the growth prospect. So we could see the metals actually falling down, led by Hindalco. Hindalco was down almost 4% in the day. Power Grid also saw some huge profit booking and was among the top losers in Nifty 50 yesterday. So majorly I would say, except FMCG and banking sector, every other sector fell yesterday. So that was something not looking good. That was looking more like, the market is kind of reversing from other rally. So that was something which needs to be watched right now. So has the rally actually come to an end? That's something that we need to see and analyze as we go ahead. So now, some important news that actually came in yesterday. One was, of course, the Tata Motors result which came in. I would say it's a mixed bag, because I would not say it's good nor bad, because it's come actually with a loss of almost 900 crores. But then this loss has actually narrowed compared to last year. So it has come down. The profit loss has actually come down by 78%. Isn't that amazing? So that's actually good. That too, in spite of all the challenges that we've discussed in the meeting. That is, the major, of course, loss have been contributed from Jaguar Land Rover. And for Jaguar Land Rover, China is a very important market. And Chinese market being almost shut down with the economy in a tight situation. So the biggest market in such a bad situation, still the losses were in control. That's something I would say is really good. Though the analysts had expected about 100 crores plus positive profit, but that did not happen. So let's see how actually Tata Motors can perform today. And yet another important thing that you should actually look at yesterday is what happened in the US market after the Indian markets closed. So Indian markets closed in negative. European markets were mixed and still closed in the positive. But then what happened in the US? So US markets, as soon as by Indian markets were closing, we could see the Dow futures were kind of down. So one major issue there is, of course, the midterm elections that's going on. And concern is that the Republican and the Democratic Party is kind of not getting majority. So none of them getting a majority. That means Joe Biden, who's a part of the Democratic Party, is kind of in a situation where they might either form a combined government. If that happens, probably the concern would be that no decisions can be passed quickly, because they don't have the majority, so they'll have to wait for the other party also for approval, and that is not going to be a great thing. So this was kind of concern that's probably seen in the US market, and we could see the US market, which is trying to rebound in the last 3 days, fell big yesterday. So we could see Nasdaq, Dow Jones almost, Nasdaq was again falling more than 2%, and Dow Jones, S&P 500, all of them were down. So that's something that's, something to be watched. And apart from that, the most important point is today evening, we have the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, the US inflation data coming up in the US today. So definitely the market is kind of conservative and looking forward to that result. So meanwhile, there are a lot of analysts who actually have come up with a poll, and the poll result states that the inflation in US is finally going to kind of come down slightly. So they are going to expect that the inflation could come around 7.9% compared to 8.2% last month. So if that happens, that would be kind of slightly good, but then it's still far away from the Federal Reserve's target of 2% inflation. That's like kind of nowhere close to it, right? So these are of course the concerns in the US, and that's exactly what is pulling the US market down. And things are kind of confusing because the US market has reasons to be down and Indian market is falling. So of course the global negativity is kind of playing spoil sport and Indian market. So that's something to be watched. So in fact, after the US markets closed in the big red, we could see the most of the Asian markets also closing in, opening in the red today morning. So we could see Japan already falling down. Hong Kong is also down. So generally, it's a kind of negative sentiment in the Indian market, and the same thing is reflected in SGX Nifty as well. So that's something which is actually driving the market down. So probably we could see a gap down opening today. Of course, it's going to be gap down, but maybe a small gap down is what I expect. But then important point to be watched is we closed very close to 18,150 support yesterday. So 18,150 support, if it is broken, let us see the first 20 minutes. If the market is able to come back to 18,150, then probably we could see it taking some support in 150 and kind of staying sideways. But then if at all it continues a fall, the major next support is at 18,000 only. So there is a small support at 18,100, but then if that is broken, then I don't that need not be seen much. 18,000 would be an important support to be watched. So that's something very important. If at all 18,000 is broken, probably we could see a short-term weakness in the Indian market as well. So it is kind of yesterday I told you in the morning podcast that the Indian market is again of slightly confused stage right now. So there's no clear direction on what side it is going to go. So these 2 days probably could give us some good direction. So that's something that we will be expecting. So apart from that, we could see crypto market actually crashing. We could see the Bitcoin actually hitting a low of almost $17,000 yesterday, but then today it has again fallen and come to 16,000. So that's something not looking good. So the sentiment of US is actually seen in the crypto market as well. So that is actually sending fear triggers across the globe. So that is also one reason why we could see the markets kind of going negative. So all these days, how we could see this just last 2 days, how things just turned negative from being so positive in the market. But I'm sure now all the media guys will come out and start talking about all the big falls and stuff here to scare away the investors. But then this is something that we were expecting. That's exactly why we were kind of cautious, isn't it? We were already out with, a lot of fund out of the equity, and we had invested in bond and gold. And I'm sure that's going to help us, because when some such fall comes is when we make money, isn't it? So we need a fall, and only then can we invest into good stocks, and that makes money. So that's something a part of the market, and you need to be part of this market to make money in this. Now, apart from that, we could see, we could see the important results that's going to come up today. We have Bata, Ashok Leyland, and we also have Apollo Hospital, Zomato, Eicher Motors, and Motherson Sumi among important results, and of course SAIL. So SAIL, of course, the results are going to be, I would say, slightly negative, because naturally most of the metal sector have been doing that. Bata should come with a decent result is what I see, and Motherson Sumi is something that needs to be watched, because the auto sector is kind of doing well, and Motherson Sumi Samvardhana Motherson Sumi has not been doing well. So that's something which needs to be watched. Can it start giving some trigger and get it back to the rise? So that's something that needs to be watched for today. Apart from that, if you look at some stock specific news, we have Tata Power news, because they've received a new project for almost a 150 megawatt solar plant installation in Maharashtra. That's something really good. I hope that actually continues the rally. We also have Axis Bank news, because the government of India is planning to sell off its shares of almost 3,865 crores in Axis Bank. So if you remember, it was Unit Trust of India. UTI has actually gone and was invested, taken over by in the merger of Axis Bank. So that should actually be sold today. And then then we have the Nykaa. If we are seeing, we are expecting a block deal by Nykaa. So Nykaa, in fact, Citibank is planning a block deal of almost 250 crores in Nykaa. So these are all few things to be watched out in the market. So important thing is today we have a CPI, the Consumer Price Index, the inflation data of US coming out, which is important to be watched. And if as per expectation, if it comes around 7.9, then that would be kind of better. But still, it is far away from the Federal Reserve's target of 2%. But then We have the Indian CPI data also expected tomorrow, so definitely the market will continue to be cautious in the next 2 days. So let's watch out how the markets take a turn, and let's look for a direction in the market. So with that, I would say let us expect the gap up. I would see around 18,100 to 150 would be the gap down. I would say in the market today. So let us hope the market kind of recovers or at least holds up to 18,000 levels. Then we could see the positivity in the market continuing. So watching all this, let us look forward to a good expiry. Wishing you all the best. Have a great day. But before we leave, do remember to press the like button if you love the content that we share. That of course motivates us, and do share this podcast with your friends and relatives to help them learn and invest together with us. Have a great day again. Let's catch up tomorrow.